What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. Let's get to work, okay? It's the 21st day of January. Here we are, sitting at about $89,500 with roughly 9 hours and 10 minutes left in the day. We've pulled back from our high of about 98K all the way down to about 87.8K. You guys, we saw an over $10,000 dump in the past week, and it's still a higher low. It's still a higher low. It's another one of these breakouts, right? Quote unquote breakouts that happened with, to be completely fair, that's actually not bad volume compared to what we've seen recently. But it's basically the same volume that we saw back here. It's not in my opinion enough to be breakout volume. Maybe it is a little bit more volume than what we had back here, but again, we were making fun. You remember back here when everybody was freaking out that we were breaking out of the bear flag, right? Everybody was freaking out back here that we were breaking out of the bear flag, and there was just no volume. Yeah. Well, we put that volume, we tied that volume up here with a line. You can see yesterday we barely had more than that amount of volume. So I'm really not concerned with this. I think it looks like a lot of volume because we just haven't had a whole lot of volume over the past few weeks. But I think that this is a fake out moment. I think that this is a higher low overall. Yes, it's a lower low than this low here, just like this low was lower than this low here, but it was still higher than this low. This one is still higher than this low here, right? We still have higher highs and higher lows as far as I'm concerned. And we're in this same consolidation phase that we've been in really since November 21st there. So I do expect that we're going to break out to the upside. I do expect this to be a good buying point. And yesterday, what the call was, it was yesterday. I think it was yesterday, not the day before, but I think it was yesterday. We were like somewhere up here. Maybe it was the day before. I can't remember. We were calling for 88. I think it was 88.8K. Let me see. From a low to a high. Yeah, 88.8K is the 0.5. So that would have been the call. We went just a little bit below there. We went to like 87.8K. But we're finding support right at the 0.5. We've been finding support at the 0.5 really this whole cycle. If we are to go lower, and Bitcoin can go lower, this does not have to be the low. We can go lower and still find a higher low in the golden ratio zone, right? Because this low is down here. We can get a higher low in the golden ratio zone there. We could go down and find support somewhere around 86.8K to 85.6K. Find support there and still be good. We're still at that point not breaking out. We're still at that point not confirming that we're in a bear market and that we're going lower. We can go lower and still be fine. But with that being said, I am kind of calling for expecting that we find support here and that we move up. So let's look at the short term stuff and see how that goes. Let's just see how that goes. Yeah. Because right now we could be breaking out. We could be back testing prior support here, prior resistance here for resistance now, and then going lower. That could be what's going on. Let's look at the 1 hour time frame and then we'll zoom out from there, okay? Looking at the 1 hour, this is right now, this hour is the hour that the stock market opens, so we're getting a little bit of a push up right now. It's just from the stock market open probably, so I'm not really wooed by this. We can give it back just as much as we gave it, but it's possible this continues going on. Let's look at our indicators. I don't mind this price action for like a double bottom kind of prospect, but let's see what the indicators are telling us. So the RSI is very bearish. It's very, very bearish. It's as bearish. If you wanted to be a bear, this is a gift to you right here. If you're a bear and you want to see the price go down, this is a good looking RSI for you. However, we were getting oversold. We were staying in the oversold zone even, just down here a lot. And now we're rejecting the oversold zone. While we haven't been overbought, we don't really live above the 50 at all. We do look weak. We've got a lower low, lower high kind of trend all the way down. Typically, these downtrends in the RSI, they typically do end when you're in the oversold zone and with bullish divergence or a double bottom in this case, maybe a triple bottom in this case. It seems as though we could be breaking out. The fact that we rejected the oversold zone here is a clear sign to me that the momentum is shifting. Where you were getting so easily oversold before, now in this environment you're having a problem doing it. It just tells me maybe we do move up. So I don't mind this, but there's not enough really to go off of now to be super bullish. All I would say is, maybe we kind of form a new uptrend, something like that. I wouldn't think that we just move into the overbought zone on one fell swoop. In fact, if we did that, that would probably be worse. If we see the RSI just move right up here, that'd probably be worse, because then we've hit the overbought zone, we've reset, and now we're ready to start a whole new trend to the downside. So that would actually be problematic, I think, if we just if we rushed up here too soon. I want to see some structure form, and then with that, maybe Friday, Thursday, late Thursday, Friday, maybe then we'll be in the overbought zone, and maybe then we can make a nice move up or something like that. MACD looks bad, but good here. Looks like it wants to keep going higher. Stochastics are weird, but all in all, yeah, I think that this is. I'm pretty comfortable calling this a low. We look at this on the 4-hour time frame, and Bitcoin's doing what it's been doing this whole time, right? As soon as you sweep the lows, as soon as you sweep those lows, you get your lower low. That's the bottom, right? As soon as you sweep these highs, right, when you get to slightly new highs, that's the top. It's just doing the same thing the whole time, right? It literally has been doing this since November 21st. It'll like set a base. It'll be a false base, right? Here's your base right here. You got your false base, and then as soon as you go right below that base, that's the best time to buy. It's actually the best time to buy. And I think that's what we just did here with this little base here. Looking at the 4-hour indicators, the RSI is also bearish, getting pretty deep into the oversold zone, bouncing off the 10. That's intense, man. It's very intense. Sometimes we do, when you get this deep in the RSI into the oversold zone, you do see consistent readings, right? Like on the 1-hour, how you got this deep here, you came out of it, but then you got consistent readings afterwards. That's kind of what I'm calling for here on the 4-hour, would be consistent readings. I shouldn't say I'm calling for that, but that's something to be aware of. Because whenever you get this deep in the RSI, again, consistent readings typically happen. This is where your bullish divergence comes in, where you get the higher lows. But with that, to get bullish divergence, you need lower lows. So again, if we go lower, that golden ratio target zone of about 86.8 to 85.5K is a possibility. It is, and we could do that over the coming days. Maybe going into the end of this week, over the weekend. That it's a strong possibility. It's not necessarily the call right now, but it is the possibility that we're addressing. Looking at the stochastics, I'm definitely bullish here. Both are coming out of the oversold zone and looking good, so I would at least assume that we're moving up from here. The MACD looks bad. The RSI looks bad, so cautiously optimistic. I'm not seeing enough in the charts to suggest that this is a low yet, but we can go ahead and get our hopes up, I suppose. Let's wait and see how things go from a high here to a low here. Hold on. I would say if we can close above, let's just say 95K to make it easy. Really, it's like 94.8K. But if we can close any given day above 95K, that'll validate this as a low, which that's not the answer that anybody wants to hear, right? From here to 95K, that's a long kind of distance to get your act together, to get your game plan together, but that's just the reality of the matter. We could move up all the way up to 95K and then still move lower, you know what I mean, afterwards. That's why we have to close above it. If we can close above it, then I think that we're validated in that this is the low, and that we are going to see new relative highs here pretty soon, going into the end of the month even. I mean, at this point, being that it's the 21st of January, we're either going to rally above 100K by the end of the month, right? The end of the month is over here. This is the 1st of February. It's like right there. So the end of the month is over there. We're either going to rally going into the end of the month, or we're basically just going to continue working our way down and then maybe we get like an end of month pop or something like that, and we're back. We're like back essentially where we are now. Something like that could happen. Maybe not. Maybe it's not as intense. Maybe it's like right here instead of all the way down here, but still, right? Like 85.5K, wherever that level is right there. And then we recover. And then it's the end of the month. Then it's the beginning of February, and we're like right back at the same place. I don't know. Either a good end of month or a false good, really just more consolidation to the downside. We'll see. I know it's not the answer that people like. Everybody likes it whenever I say a decisive thing, even if I'm wrong. Like, I feel like people like to get upset or give me praise when I'm right or wrong, but really, I don't think people actually care about that. They just care about the call. They're like, is it going up or is it going down? Give me something, because I get the most. I feel like whininess whenever I don't give a call, and we're kind of in that environment where I think it's not really appropriate to give a call one way or another. That's why I'm giving you scenarios. This could be the low. It really could be. I haven't seen enough in the charts at this point to convince me that it is the low. The MACD sucks. The stochastics are all right here, but the RSI sucks here. The 1 hour time frame is not impressive. There's some promising prospects here, but still overall bad. If anything, I'm seeing more. It would be more appropriate to call for the downside, but I know better. I know better than to get bearish on Bitcoin right when we break through one of these trend lines. Because, and the reason why I know better than to get bearish right here is because probably like 7 out of 10 times, everybody gets max bearish right here, and then we move up. Sometimes, like 3 out of 10 times, it's a signal that we do move down. Not every time when we break a trend line like this does that mean that we're moving up. You know, we do move down at times as well. But just moments like this in a bull market, I'm convinced that this is a low area. But that doesn't mean that this is the low itself. We could go just a little bit lower and still find support. So one way or another, I do expect recovery. I'm just not completely convinced that this is the low yet. Get above 95K and then I will be. All in all, ultimately, whether we pump going into the end of the month, whether it's the beginning of February that we start to move up, I do expect that sometime between now and the next couple of weeks, we should be making our way up above 100K. We should be making our way to this 110 to 106K level, probably closer to 108K, that's my guess. And then the real games begin. Because again, I said this yesterday a little bit, we're in a prove it kind of moment right now for the Bears and for the Bulls, right? In this little consolidation phase, this would prove that we are in a bear market. This might prove that we're in a bull market, or at least it adds less evidence that we're in a bear market, right? But we're in a prove it situation right now where we have to prove, are we still in a bull market or are we in a bear market? And the thing is, even if we break out here, we still actually haven't proven that we're in a bull market. We've just upped the chances, right? And I believe that we're in a bull market. I fully believe it. I don't need to see new all-time highs to be convinced that we are. But it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what the rest of the market thinks. The rest of the market needs new all-time highs to be convinced that we're in a bull market. This alone won't be convincing enough. Because even if you're bearish here and you think we're in a bear market, you could still rightfully be bearish here, where we found support, where we found resistance before, a lower high. You know what I mean? So we're in this kind of prove it environment now. And I think even whenever we are vindicated to the upside, we still have to prove ourselves further afterwards. But all in all, this is the next target zone, something between like 106 to 110K, probably closer to 108K specifically. I've got nothing else. I'm rambling at this point, so I'm going to end the video there. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for dealing with my rattling throat. I don't know why it was so bad at first, but it's better now. It's better now. Anyways, I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.